Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. And today we're recording episode, 236 or so. Something like that. It depends on, I never know what order they'll go out in, so it's a little hard to predict. And today I have with me John Fohr, CEO of TrustLayer. John, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I wore the shirt in case in case you needed an aid.
Awesome. And for the listeners, if you are listening to this on the podcast side with audio only, John and I are both extremely attractive, and you should definitely watch it on the YouTube side. Mostly.
What are you doing, man? My wife's going to watch this. Watch out.
Right?
Get in
Exactly.
trouble.
So if you're listening to it on the podcast side, I will include the YouTube link. The best version is on YouTube because we now record at a much higher quality. So check it out on YouTube if you're not like driving or something.
Very considerate.
John, thank you so much for joining today.
Tony, how you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. So we are recording on March 24th. Like I told you before, it might be a few weeks before this goes live, but it's been a busy day. I have had 4 hours of meetings in a row just before this one. I did have half an hour before this one, so that helped.
Yeah.
And 2 of those were speaking, like parts of panels for different events.
You're always pitching. I feel bad for the sales team, right? I mean, because it's like I'm kind of in the same boat, but like it's like every 30 minutes there's no break.
Well, and you're absolutely right. That's what in my day job with Jacobson, I'm sales,
So what do you think? So right now we're kind of toward the end, right? I mean, like hopefully it seems like at least in America here, where many of the people I know have gotten at least their first vaccine. Mm-hmm. We're starting to look at office space, and we're in that unique spot where like we're growing quickly. So like how much office space do we get? But like, I don't know. I mean, when people go back, a lot of my staff, they want to hang out, but they don't want to,
okay.
They also feel more efficient at home.
So within insurance, we have research that 50% of carriers are going to have more remote people going forward. And almost 80% are going to have more work from home days for their in-office people.
Yeah.
Also, I can assure you that the talent has realized that they are just as productive from home. So and that's for insurance, much more conservative than tech, yeah. Right? And you're half of each, right?
Yeah.
So I would get like half the office space that you think you need.
Yeah.
Basically, especially in San Francisco. That's my advice. I don't think that unless the tech world is radically different, which they are, like you guys are radically different, but generally more progressive, not the other way around, right? Basically, your engineers will have multiple offers from companies that will never force them to go in unless they want to.
Yeah. What's interesting is that a lot of the team, so that's what I thought originally. And in fact, I wasn't pushing, but like a lot of the team has been pressing for an office because they're looking for like more of the collaboration. I mean, again, there's something special about us in this case. It's like every company's going through it at the same time.
It could be that for like if you have like 70% developers, which a lot of insurtechs have, it could be that the developers really benefit and they really feel like they benefit. It could be that being in San Francisco, they have tiny apartments, and they like coming in.
Yeah.
But either way, like it should be the option to come in.
Yeah, definitely.
Not exactly. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
So
really flexible.
So John, you can get me talking about this for a long time, so be careful. But I'll give you the chance that I give everybody that comes on the podcast. So first of all, what is the elevator pitch? What is TrustLayer?
Yeah, we've built a collaborative risk management platform that allows brokers to provide consulting services, almost like become like a part-time risk manager for their customers. And in the same way that an accountant doesn't want to just sell insurance once a year, or do taxes once a year, they want to provide bookkeeping services or other kind of consulting services, and they may use a tool called QuickBooks for that. insurance brokers are now providing this risk management or maybe like insurance bookkeeping service for their customers using this tool called TrustLayer. But the best thing about it is our robots do the vast majority of the work. And so insurance is complex. It's going to be with us. It's going to stay complex. I don't know if let me know if you find some insurtech that's going to just simplify everything. So I see it being super complex for a while. It's really important to have an expert in the room, and a lot of companies are looking for their broker to play that role. And with TrustLayer, they can be that collaborative. They can have that collaborative platform.
Okay, so there's a lot here. This is very interesting. So when you said a collaborative risk management platform, in my mind, when I hear risk management, I hear beyond the insurance. Right in my mind.
All right, you've spoken of our customers then too.
Right.
Yeah,
insurance is this world, and risk management is this bigger world that includes insurance, right? So the first thing I thought is okay. So some sort of platform that a company can buy, and part of what it does is help with its insurance.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's really meant for the brokers themselves. And I, by the way, I do agree with you that the best commercial brokers are risk management partners to their clients. They kind of have to be more so than just insurance salespeople. Insurance salespeople are much easier to replace than true risk management partners.
Yeah, and that's like any industry, really selling the value, not just the one product, but really the value. And top insurance brokers are intimately connected to their customers. They really understand the challenges their customers are going through. So,
okay.
But you're right. So just imagine with any new business relationship, you might have identity information that has to be proven. Am I really John? Are you Tony? Maybe some sort of credential like, is that guy actually authorized to be an electrician in this county? And it turns out it's also insurance related, where one or both parties has to validate that they have certain insurance coverage. And this happens hundreds of millions of times a year, right? Every single auto loan in America, 100 million of them, every mortgage in America, Fannie and Freddie, every single time a plumber walks onto that job site, every piece of equipment in the equipment leasing space, time and time again, companies have to share and validate this type of information. And it's all done through paper. It's all manual today, which is just mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. And so we built a platform that automates the current paper-based workflows. We partner really closely with our insurance partners and insurance broker partners, and then risk managers. And then we're also bringing out to two-year prior employers we're doing pilots with right now to provide a real-time digital proof of insurance solution for the insurance industry.
So
imagine just signing up to be an Uber driver and in the process being able to log in and validate that you have certain insurance coverage right there and then, rather than screwing around with a piece of paper. Or that plumber who needs access to a job site, being able to just simply scan the QR code and validating in real time that they have certain insurance coverage, rather than waiting a few days for this process.
The certificates issue. So I've never worked in a broker, but I've worked at carriers, and I've helped brokers in many different ways. My girlfriend works at a large broker. It has always blown my mind that the brokers are the ones that produce the certificates, and that the certificate doesn't actually guarantee coverage.
Isn't it crazy? It's like if we're all on this hamster wheel,
it's insane.
Where like we all have to do all this work. Oh, and by the way, none of it's relevant. So
no, exactly.
It's really meta.
Exactly. It's like, right, here's my license. I'll show only the back side, but here, right. Yeah. So here's my license, but by the way, it doesn't actually guarantee that I'm allowed to drive.
Yeah. We want to solve.
What the hell's the certificate for?
We want to solve that, and so that's what we're doing. But to be clear, that is a massively ambitious project. We're doing pilots with a number of large carriers right now, Liberty Mutual and Nationwide, 2-year.
Two of my former employers, yeah.
And so right now, as well as a whole bunch of other carriers that we're working with or talking to at this point, there's just got to be a better way to do this, because even now, like to your point, you get this piece of paper, you don't know if it's real. The other challenge is it's just a cost center at this point, where what we're trying to do is create a profit center. So imagine that franchise that has a whole bunch of franchisees. And if you can easily validate that some of them may not have the right coverage, well, that's a great opportunity for that broker to sell that coverage to that franchisee. So taking something that used to be a cost center and actually turning that into a profit center for both the broker and the carrier. We're not a broker. We're not a carrier. We would never want to do that. My job is to drive as much business as we can back to our broker and our carrier partners.
And you talked about the automation, about the robots. I think is the way you used. So if I'm a broker, let's say a large regional broker, right? I used to be a sales manager in California, and I can't think of the large brokers in the that are regionals. But let's say that I'm a large regional broker, commercial focused, several $100 million book. So what can I? So I get the platform.
Yeah.
What can I
think about
outsource to it?
Think about
which process can I improve?
Yeah, think about it's like QuickBooks, right? Where you would have 20 of your customers would be interested in this like tomorrow. And so you're a producer with Hub or NFP or some one of the larger ones. And so you've got a whole bunch of customers yourself. You got a handful that would be interested in this. You can call the risk manager up and say, hey, isn't it a pain to like track subs? Yes, or vendors or rideshare drivers or whoever like the counterparties are working with. Yes, of course. Well, great. Here's this tool called TrustLayer. They can help automate most of that. And now me as your broker can work on the same piece of paper with you and help track and validate that your borrowers, subs, vendors, suppliers, whoever you're working with, have the right coverage. The challenge is to your earlier point that risk managers don't just track insurance, or a home builder doesn't just track insurance for his 50 subcontractors. And that was the feedback we got when we first launched. Although our focus is insurance, very quickly we realized that those risk managers were looking to also collect and track other information. So when I was going directly to home builders when we first launched, immediately they were like, well, if you're going to go out to my subs, can you get that W-9? Can you get the articles of incorporations? I need passports, driver's license. I need auto title, COVID forms, OSHA documents, training information. Can you do an e-signature? And so now, a year ago, the answer was, we'll get to that. But now the answer is yeah. So we can handle all these additional use cases as well. And really just automate the collection with what's called RPA, robotic process automation, and some fancy AI tools to identify the documents and extract information from them and compare them against whatever the requirements are. The idea is just let the robots do as much as they can as early in the process as possible so that humans can focus on more complex tasks.
Okay, but I need the buy-in not only of the brokerage, I need the buy-in of the client also so that we can both be on the platform. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, but this is a service that the customer wants because this is a big pain point. You talk to any construction company, talk to any rideshare company, talk to any bank that has to track this information for vendors or for their borrowers, and this is a major pain point for them.
And what's the revenue model? Who pays for it? The broker or the client, or they both pay in?
So the client would pay for it, and so this is a profit center for the broker in most cases. So we give them leads, and then we'll also be able to create new revenue streams for them. And we're having a number of our earlier adopters that have come on board. They're looking to create $1 million books of business which are brand new revenue streams with TrustLayer.
Okay, so as you guys look for the right brokers to sign up, it's really, I'm guessing, kind of the big regional players and the big national players.
So we started with the mostly like top 50. We were lucky enough. So when we first started this idea or had this idea, we wanted to test the hypothesis. We joined this group called Broker Tech Ventures. And I hadn't heard of them before. And if you haven't bumped into them, I think these guys are incredible. We tested this we wanted to test the hypothesis, and we were lucky enough to find this group, which was setting up an accelerator in of just brokers. I think there were 13, 14 mid-size brokers that were coming on and it started earlier last year, right before COVID. And so we went out to Iowa, and the experience was just great. A number of these brokers like very quickly signed up as pilots, and from there we were off to the races. Over the summer, they kicked the tires on us, frankly, to see if we did the things we say we would do. And now we're starting to scale with a number of large national and regional brokers.
So I'm not sure. So you're in San Francisco now, and I see that you spent some time in Dubai prior, but I don't know where you're from. Yeah. But I'm hoping that Iowa was in the spring, summer, and fall, not in the winter.
No, it was in January, but that's fine. I'm from Wisconsin, so it's all good.
What? Oh, okay.
I wasn't scared.
So you knew what you were getting into. Okay, so you went off to Iowa, joined the accelerator, had a lot of zombie burger, and
yeah. Well, immediately went back because it was to San Francisco because it was COVID, and so these guys were able to I think pivot pretty well into this virtual environment. But yeah, there were a number of really great brokers that came on board. They gave us great feedback on how to scale, and that was actually later in the year. We ended up closing a $6.6 million round, and of note, we had a traditional venture fund led the round, but of note, we were really excited to bring in 20 of the top 100 brokers into the round as well.
As investors.
Yeah, as investors.
That is mind blowing. Like just before we recorded, when you told me that, and you said we had 20 of the largest brokers invest, I immediately assumed that you were using the word broker in some investment way, not insurance brokers. I assume that what you were telling me is that like 20 big investors participated. No, like the fact that the brokers are investing in it, that is fantastic.
We wanted to have real buy-in from the industry. We didn't want to have the image of we're just like some tech company that's gonna change the whole way insurance is done. That's not likely. I don't see that happening. Brokers are still going to be on the front lines dealing with the real challenges that their customers have day in, day out, doing probably way more than they're supposed, than they should, than the job that they should be doing. But like really addressing the problems of their customers. And so we wanted to have buy-in from them.
So how did the idea come? Who was it? You or your co-founder? Who?
So you alluded to it. You alluded to it before. Early in my career, I had a chance to work overseas, and at the time I didn't quite. It wasn't framed, but I would see opportunities to invest or do business in emerging markets, and it was very difficult to establish trust for us to do deals in some environments, even though they were potentially great opportunities. But building trust was challenging. I'm like, boy, in this day and age, there's got to be a better way for companies to be able and individuals to be able to help establish trust. Again, are you really Tony, right? Like, do you own this building? If it's in a real estate investment overseas, it's like, do we have insurance on this building? Just like the paperwork was such a pain. I was thinking if we could reduce that friction, if we could help companies build trust between each other, that's a really neat opportunity. Then when we moved back to the States, was doing some construction investment, and again ran into this problem again, where like the subcontractors couldn't start at the right time because they didn't have proof of coverage, and then that would cause like a cascading delay. If the plumber can't work today, that means the carpenter can't work tomorrow because the pipes aren't in the wall, but the carpenter's not going to come back for another week, and you're just like, this is nuts, and it's all caused because of the friction of companies doing business, specifically proving insurance. Who hasn't spoken? Again, our focus isn't health insurance, but who hasn't been frustrated because they're waiting on the phone with their doctor, waiting to validate whether they actually have certain coverage? Who hasn't struggled of like, can I actually drive the car off the lot? Because will I be able to have that piece of paper to show that I have insurance for the new car that I bought, or bought a house and had to, struggled with, we just bought a little house and there were 12 emails that went back and forth between Wells Fargo and our insurance broker. He would have much rather not done that. He would have much rather focused on more important
waste of time.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. He had already made the sale.
Yeah, and now he's like, what is the start date of this policy? What is the premium, or what is the limit? And you're just like there's got to be a better use of time. So we're going to solve that.
That is fantastic. Okay, so the client is brokers. They seem to have great acceptance already. So now, if you're a smaller commercial agency, at this point, not a great fit for you guys.
No, absolutely not. So the first account at TrustLayer, or the first account with TrustLayer, is a profit center for that broker. We've tended to focus to larger brokers so far, and regional brokers or national brokers so far, part because they were just earlier adopters for us, and that was in our network. Now I invite any broker that's interested in expanding their business, with probably every one of them, right? Like if you're interested in providing these additional kind of consulting services to your customers, this can be a new revenue stream that you can offer, and to really differentiate and build a closer relationship with your customers.
Okay, so any commercial lines broker that serves industries that would really benefit from being able to track
franchise,
this,
construction, property management, equipment leasing. We're starting to work with more banks now that we've got the security audits are moving forward, and those are some of the client types that are where this is a major pain point for.
Okay. Yeah. What about the carrier on the carrier side? So you're running pilots with some very large carriers.
Yeah.
Are the regionals and super regionals good partners for you, or they're not yet on the roadmap?
So we've tended to focus toward the largest carriers so far, but again, the same thing. It's just with limited bandwidth. Any carrier that's interested in getting better underwriting data, helping reduce their risk, right? If they insure the home builder, but that home builder doesn't have any of his subs covered, and he's not tracking that, that means that when someone subs their toe at that job site, that's going to hit their balance sheet. And we've got a whole bunch of cases already where that's exactly happened, or we've had companies that have been non-renewed because of this, because their subs were getting injuries, and the lawsuits were going up to the carrier of the home builder. And so
it's the stupidity of the certificates that don't actually prove anything.
Yeah, it's with our very first customer. This is a true story. With our first customer, we learned that one of his 40 vendors was just committing good old-fashioned insurance fraud. I mean, it's nuts, right? There's got to be a better way to do it, and that's where that's the solution we brought to market. But yeah, to answer your question, smaller carriers also, if they're interested in providing the solution to their customers, they can do that as well.
Okay, so what is the what is it called, the implementation, or the so I give you a call or sign up on the website to have a conversation with one of you guys, and I'm interested. How do you interact with my existing systems?
Yeah, so I hate to give the answer that it depends, but it can be as simple or complex as the company wants. If you require a whole bunch of integrations, it's not usually on our end, but that can be more complex if you need to have a bunch of integrations with some ERP system. But in most cases, companies don't need that. They can just upload their vendors or tenants or borrowers, whoever they're working with, and they can be up and running relatively quickly. The other challenge is if you have a bunch of historical documents you need to review. So companies that want to just say, clean slate, go forward, that's something we can get up and running in just a matter of days. So it's fairly easy. It's definitely
just a matter of days.
Yeah, it's very different than some of these like ERP systems or like enterprise systems for like the Fortune 500. Those are fundamentally different environment. But if you're outside of that group, you can get up and running pretty quickly. The other issue is, of course, the historical documents. Last September, October, I forget, we had a company that came to us, and like the proverbial shoebox of crap, frankly, where they brought us a folder, they shared with us a folder. It had, I might be off by 1,000, but they had like 10,000 documents in it. and almost every document had the same file name. It was like scanned.pdf or like scanned parentheses 1.pdf. And we're like, okay, our robots are good, but you kind of have to help them out a little bit. There's no magic with this tool. And so onboarding a company like that is a little bit more challenging. That said, though, now we do actually, we spent the last couple of months teaching the robots. So what took us 30 days to onboard before, we can do in 30 minutes, where we'd be able to, we have a magic folder. The robots can start reading those 10,000 documents and start organizing them for us. So again,
I love that parenthesis 1. Basically,
give me a break.
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
our customer
like,
success team was up in arms about about how challenging it can be.
For those who are not nerdy enough, basically parenthesis 1 is what Windows does when you download yet another file with the exact same name.
Yeah,
right?
really.
That's
Every single file was 10,000 of them. Right? Scanned.pdf. You're like, but of course, risk managers have to deal with this every single day, and it's not their fault that they've had crappy systems for so long, and we're going to change that.
Yeah, you should be rather thankful that it was PDF. It could have been GIFs, right?
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Actually,
BMP, yeah, scan.bmp, and each one is 25 megabytes big because it's not compressed at all.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Oh my god. That gave me a good laugh. I see that you have listed on your LinkedIn that you guys are hiring because you're growing. So is it mostly tech talent that you're hiring, or because if that's the case, then like my listeners are likely not the right people.
We're hiring folks with insurance background. So, like I said before, insurance is going to be counted. So we've got great engineers. Of course, we're hiring a bunch of engineers, but we're also hiring sales and customer success folks to join the team. You don't need an insurance background, but it certainly helps. So if you're a techie who is currently at a brokerage or a carrier and you want to join a fast-growing SaaS company, give us a call because we're hiring pretty aggressively right now.
How big is the team already?
We're 20. We'll double in size in the next couple months. And
double in size?
Yeah. We've got it's a huge pain point, and we've got some of the best partners in the whole darn world right now with these brokerages that just that we're starting to scale within.
That is fantastic. So for the potential employees, San Francisco only?
No. So we set up an office in Tampa as well.
Oh, okay.
And I think the downfall of San Francisco might be overwritten. I'm not fully bought in. I think it's going to be a kick-ass tech hub for a long time. But
we agree on that.
Yeah. So, but that said, we've set up an office in Tampa as well, and so California and Florida would be the two locations. But as we were talking about before, everything's virtual now, and there's value of having people together, but I don't envision the genie being put in the bottle. And
there is no putting the genie back. In fact, you used almost the exact phrasing that I normally use when I'm talking to clients, which is you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Well,
the talent knows
sounds like exactly
that they're just as productive from home.
Yeah.
And depending on your industry, if the competition is letting them work from home, you're dead.
Yeah.
And that's what within insurance, 50% of carriers are saying they'll have more remote people going forward. Almost 80% saying that they'll have more flexibility for in-office people. It's done, yeah. And I would imagine with tech, it'll only be better than that. So if you're listening to this and it sounds like an interesting career opportunity, you can choose between the beautiful weather of San Francisco. I actually like the weather of San Francisco better than the weather of Florida. Florida's hot. San Francisco is beautiful most of the year, and then you have a little bit of a summer in October. And I'm okay with like sweater weather as long as I never have snow. And you're, 2.5 hours from Tahoe with great skiing in the winter. And I understand in the summer it's also beautiful.
They're both great places. We're excited. We're excited to set up an office here.
Florida, radically different tax situation. Right, with no state income taxes. So if you do like the heat, no state income taxes. That is an attractive proposition, basically. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean,
so,
when we first told people we were setting up an office in Florida last year, we were honestly I was a little nervous. I didn't know what the venture funds would say.
The time zone is hard. The time zone difference is hard.
And we thought that it would be looked down on by the venture community. That said, you know, a year later, I don't know, 8 months later, how many venture funds have set up offices in Miami? And so things are, or I mean, even in Tampa, we've met a bunch now too. So things are very different than they were last year.
Excellent. So that's all I've got for now. But I look forward to see what you guys do. Always welcome to.
We got some big things
on the show
coming
later.
Up. Yeah, we got some big things we'll be announcing pretty soon. So love to come back.
Okay, so nothing you can announce yet.
We're coming up. We've got some big partnerships coming up.
No problem. I really can't personally grok the importance of it because I've never been a broker, but I've heard tons of complaints about certificates and how much time they take and how inaccurate they are. So definitely, and also I think the most impressive thing is the fact that 20 of the large brokers went in on investing on it. That is a really, really good sign. When your potential client and your clients and prospects are so excited for you that they're willing to bankroll you, that is a very, very good sign.
Yeah.
So
they give us guidance and advice well beyond what you know our little team deserves. So it's just awesome to have these guys with a seat at the table, and also
awesome,
and also having like sharing in the upside as well.
Awesome, John. Thank you for
Tony,
joining us
thanks
today.
so much. I really appreciate it.